Good afternoon to all. Myself, Khairunnisa, second year philosophy. Today I will presenting my dissertation, Bodily Self-Policing and Beauty Norms, Reconceptualizing Choice in Bartky and Bordo. Introduction. This dissertation examines how beauty practices like dieting, grooming, and body presentations form choice under constraint. Drawing on Sandra Bartky and Susan Bordo, it argues that beauty norms are socially constructed, shaped by cultural expectations and power relations. However, it proposes the spectrum model of choice, where agency operates within structured social limits rather than complete freedom. The study reconceptualize autonomy, agency, and moral responsibility in context of subtle self-regulations. It argues that what we think as free choice is often influenced and constructed by cultural expectations. Theoretical background. In everyday life, practice like dieting, grooming, skincare, or maintaining certain body shapes are often seen as personal choice. We think that we are doing these things for ourselves. It argues that these practices are deeply influenced by beauty standard created by society. These standards slowly become uh, part of our thinking that feel natural and personal. This leads to the question, are our choice really free or are they shaped by the social pressure? Research question, to what extent do beauty norms shapes and confront individual choice? And how do Sandliri Bhatke and Susan Bodo explain the internalization of disciplinary beauty practices? Can agency exist with socially constrained condition, and if so, how should we understand such agencies? Objectives, to analyze the beauty norms as social constraint practice shaped by cultural and social force rather than natural standards. To examine this process, internalization and bodily self-policing in the works of Bordo and Bartky. To explain how agency operates with constraint where choices are made within the structural limitations. To reconceptualization choice as a spectrum, highlighting the interconnection between power, discipline, and agency. Theoretical framework. Uh, this study is based on the three major thinkers. Michael Foucault explains that power in modern society does not always work through force. Instead, it works through discipline, where individuals begin to control themselves. Susan Bordo builds on this idea and shows how cultural standards shape our understanding of the body. Bartky extends these ideas to women experience and explains how women learn to monitor and disciplines their own body in everyday lives. My dissertation includes three chapters. The first one is internalization of Bordo and self-surveilling of Bartky. Second one is beauty norms and bodily self-discipline. Third one is reconceptualization choice under bodily discipline. Chapter 1, Bordo, beauty, culture and internalization. Beauty and culture. Bordo introduces the idea that body is a site of cultural inscription. This means the body is like a surface on which society writes its values. For example, ideas about discipline, control, and beauty are expressed through the body. The way we treat our bodies reflects a deeper cultural meaning, not just individual preferences. Bordo internalization of beauty norms. Susan Bordo explained the concept of internalization, which is important. She argues that beauty standards like being thin or well groomed are not just external rules. People absorb these standards into their own thinking. For example, a person may feel that dieting is their personal choice, but their desire is shaped by cultural expectation. What we feel like personal decision is actually influenced by the societies. Cultural effect and limitation. The people appear to choose freely, but rather choice strongly influences the social norms. We need to more flexible understanding of what choice really means. The eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia shows the extreme internalization of norms. These are not merely personal issues but culturally produced phenomena. Limits of Bordo. Bordo theory is powerful and it has limitations. She focuses mainly on how society controls individuals, which sometimes make it seems like people have no real choice. However, in reality, people are not completely passive. They can reflect, resist, and make decisions. This limitation creates the need to rethink how to understand the agency. Chapter 2, Bartky Self-Policing and Discipline. Disciplinary power and the body. Bartky build on Foucault theory and focus especially on women. She argues that women are shaped into what she calls docile body that are controlled, disciplined, and shaped according to the social expectations. This control happens through everyday practice like dieting, grooming, postures, and appearances. Docile body and self-surveillance. Bartke, along of the key idea of self-surveillance, women being to constantly monitor their own bodies and behavior. They check their appearance, postures, and movements. This happens because they internalize what society expects from them. Even when no one is watching, they feel like they are being judged. So control comes from within, not from external form. Limits of Bartke. She showed that a strong focus on discipline and control, limited space for active agency and resistance, rethinking idea of choices. Chapter 3, Reconceptualization under choice under constraint. Limits of existing theories. Bordo and Bartky argues that our choice, especially about body and beauty, are shaped and limited by society. We don't choose completely free cultural influences what we want and what we react, how we act. But their view seen as too strong, it may look like individuals are almost completely controlled by social norms within less independence. If all our choices are shaped by society, then do we really have agency? Spectrum model of choice. Choice is not just free or fully controlled. It exists on spectrum. Some choice are more freely, other more influenced by society. People live within social constraint, but they still have some levels of agency. They are not completely powerless. This helps us to think of understanding. People are partly free. Their choice are influenced but not totally controlled. Navigation with norms. Individuals don't just follow norms blindly. They adjust, adapt in their own ways. Reflections and resistance. People can think critically about norms and sometimes challenge or resist them. Criteria of constrained choice. Choice are not completely free because they are made within limited set of options defined by society. For example, people can choose how to look but only within a socially accepted standards. This is why call it as partially constrained choice. There is some freedom but it is restricted. There are three criteria of constrained choice. To better understanding this idea, we uses three criteria of constrained choice. This criteria helps to analyze what our choice are considered genuinely autonomous or not. First one is reflective endorsability. This mean and person should be able to reflect on their preference and accept them as a truly their own. In the case of beauty norms, many preferences are shaped by society, even if we think we are choosing freely, may not have critically examined those choices. Second one, epistemic adequacy. This means person should understand what choice they are making and their factor influence them. But people are not fully aware of how deeply social norms shapes their desires. Absence of direct force. This individual is not being forced by immediate traits or lack of options. In beauty practice, there is usually no direct force. However, strong social pressures still exist even without force. Forced choice are still influenced and limited. Conclusion. This dissertation analyzed the body self-policing under beauty norms using Bartky and Body, and it showed the choice in bodily practice is shaped by disciplinary power and cultural expectations. Beauty norms shape not only by appearance but also our thoughts, desires, and identity. Through internalization and self policing, individuals come to regulate themselves. While people do not have agency, their choices are always influenced by social environment. Understanding the balance between the constraint and choice is very important. The study concludes the choice still possible and reconciliation through spectrum model and constraint and socially produced agencies. Thank you.